Hello, you are listening to the Childcare Director's Chair podcast. Your host, Erica Sacosio, invites you to join her community of passionate and inspiring leaders in the ECE field, where she discusses, reflects, and shares the best ways to invest in our children, families, teachers, and community. Because after all, we know they are the heartbeat of any successful program.
Erica Sacosio here with the Childcare Director's Chair podcast, where we bring you the best insights and advice from industry leaders. In today's empowering episode, we are thrilled to welcome Michelle Amos, the CEO and founder of Gate and Bridges Learning Academy. Sorry about that. A thriving multi-location childcare center based in sunny Florida, where I wish I was. I do love me, Florida. I do. I'll be going out to Florida in October. I'm going to the, what am I going to there? I am going to the Florida Association for the Education of Young Children's Conference. So those of you in Florida, please come see me at my booth and say hi. So Michelle's journey from passionate educator to successful childcare entrepreneur is nothing short of inspiring. So I want you to join us today if you are thinking about starting your own childcare center and taking that leap of faith. We're going to talk a little bit about it and figure out how to uncover new opportunities in the field. So welcome to the show, Michelle. So let's tell folks a little bit about how did you become a childcare owner? Tell us your journey.
So, my journey, my background, I come from a background early childhood education, over a decade of experience working as a teacher and educational, consultant. My passion, comes from my children, trying to create that nurturing environment, having them in a place of where I want them to thrive and to be successful. So that's where my drive, my force came from behind me opening a childcare home first. So I started in home before I opened Gates and Bridges Learning Academy. And then I saw a gap in the market for high quality childcare in the home environment, providing education, which also inspired me to take that leap and to start my own business.
Okay. So I would say your path is very similar to many women who open up their own centers. A lot of times it is because of either what they see is lacking or their own children bring them to this space. And so what would you say the very first step was that you took when you decided you're like, okay, this is it. I'm going to open up this childcare center. Like, talk us through some of the first steps.
So my very first step that I took was basically just doing the research and seeing what it takes to start the childcare. And like I said, I started in home and I started with just keeping kids. And I'm going to say, make sure there's no licensed people watching. I started unlicensed, the kids. And then I started doing the research to see what it takes to get licensed, to get serious about it. I wanted to understand the needs of parents like myself, being a single mom in my community. I also wanted to recognize like the competitive landscape and then the regulatory requirements. So this helped me identify the need within my community with high demands and to plan my services accordingly. So I just did the research.
Okay. How long has your center been open?
So my center has been open for 7 months since January. Of course, I did all of the paperwork in October of last year. But I've been open in my center since January, but I've been open in my home since 2019.
Okay. So
open.
Okay. All right. So you have a little bit of understanding for both the childcare family folks and then the center folks. So you have a little bit of experience in both areas. What would
Yeah.
you say the biggest, besides size, what would you say the biggest challenges were at the family childcare side? What would, what would you say compared to opening up a center?
Okay. So childcare altogether, and I'm sure you can relate, is navigating the complexity of licensing and regulatory agencies, dealing with those different agencies. Um, so what I did, I first started in my community looking for mentors, looking for women that look like me that, are going through the same thing that I'm going through to get some help. And I just sought out that mentorship with people that had experience in what I'm doing in the industry, and then working closely with the agencies, the local authorities, like our local greenhouse, business, SBA, little small agencies like that, to ensure that I'm compliant and that my business is a legitimate business, that I'm not just a babysitter. Um, and then also just making sure that I have the support behind um, and people that share my same vision.
I feel like something you said there was really important. So, those of you who are directors who are maybe thinking of branching out on your own, she had mentioned the SBA. And I have to tell you that I second that motion. Before I opened up my center, I took a program called Power Up, and it was a 14-week entrepreneurship program where we basically walked through the legalities of owning a legit business, how to put together a business plan. So we worked everything out on paper. And then when we were done, we got connected with the lender, and I have been able to secure 6 SBA loans in the last 12 years. Yeah. I've done everything from purchase real estate to startup to build out. And I'm happy to report almost all of them, except for one, is paid. And that was my real estate. They all paid off. So, but yeah, I think that's a very important step that really makes a lot of sense, because even if you have money and you don't need a loan, I think to work it all out on paper
Yes.
is so important before you put your family's life savings and you sign your house away as collateral and all those pieces, right? Because it sounds great to not have to deal with no one, but I promise you, all the stories they tell you about working less hours and living on a beach in Cancun is lies.
Right.
It's
Right.
lies. I mean, you'll get to go to Cancun a couple of times, but you're not going to live there. So,
Right.
yeah. And I think now, even more than ever, when you have to look at your market, because the market is shrinking in a way, people are having less kids. There are now there's more competition, not just in the private sector, but in the public sector. There's just a lot of things you really need to consider that you might not have had to consider, a few years ago. Um, so how did you approach finding and securing the necessary funding to get your childcare center off the ground? Did you get a loan from the SBA?
So I didn't get a loan from the SBA, but having a detailed business plan does help to have that financial projection. Like I said, doing that market research and also just having a clear vision of what I wanted to do. So I started, like I said, in my home. Everybody's not able to secure the SBA loan and all of that. So I come from a corporate background where I was investing in myself, and I invested in having a 401k plan with some corporations that I work for. And of course, I stayed on the job. I've always had longevity on job, and I was able to invest. This particular company, and I won't mention them, but they laid me off. And of course, they laid me off, and I was fully vested. So that means that the money that I contributed, the money that they contributed, all was my money after so many years. So I was fully vested, and I could take that with me along with being laid off. They give you of course, a severance package. So that is how I secured funding to start my home daycare.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And I love that you said invest in yourself. So ladies, please invest in yourself.
Yes.
I think also something that I found that was really interesting that I really only started hearing about since I started going outside of my state is so many of you open up a family child care center and then open up a center. And many of you do have still both because a lot of these, yeah, do you still have your family child care? And yeah. So I think that that's such an interesting way and so smart, a great way to kind of tease out all of your policies, make sure that you actually want to do this, right? So I never heard of that before until I started traveling around to different countries. Different countries. I wish I was going to different countries, different states. Sometimes it feels like a different country. It's a different, totally different culture. But yeah, I thought that was really interesting and a pretty smart way to do that. So, so what are some creative ways that you found to create new opportunities and expand your childcare services beyond having a family childcare and a center?
So, Miss Erica, I say this part is the need, not leaving any money on the table in childcare. So my focus has always been to understand the needs of modern families like myself and to understand that childcare is not just an 8 to 5. I was tired of seeing things in the news where a mom went out to the club and left a baby home with another child that's under the age of 12. There needs to be childcare available to those mothers that want to go out or, that have non-traditional working hours. So having flexible hours in childcare was one of my focuses. Especially in the home, I was able to operate longer than normal daycare centers in my community. Having those early education programs available, having extracurricular activities, doing surveys and engaging with parents to find out how I can tailor my services to the parents that we're leaving out. And then offering programs like transportation, doing things that help my center that other centers are not doing. STEM activities, just immersing with like literacy, reading. So those are some of the opportunities that I explore in my home daycare. And it has brought me a long way. Just by
Yeah. I bet it has. Yeah, you have to be creative. And right now everything is so competitive. So, and like you said, like STEM program, that's something that a lot of families are really interested in at this time, working on what the future is going to look like. And so, yeah, I think that is great. What is some, you talked about not leaving any money on the table. So what are some common financial mistakes that you see new childcare center owners make and how can they avoid them?
budget, create a budget, do regular reviews on your finances, staying on top of the flow of your cash, what's coming in, what's going out. Using software systems. I use Brightwell. I always use software systems in my home and at the center. Using the accounting system to track like your expenses, your income, making sure that you have a healthy profit margin, things like that. Offering different programs, summer camps, after school programs, and like I said, transportation services.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I offer all those things. We have a huge summer camp. We have about 80 students in our summer camp. We offer before and after school. We actually started as a before and after school and then went the other way, which is so strange because most people, they start with infant, toddler, pre-K and then open up school age. We were the whole opposite. We started school age and our parents were like, I have this young kid. I got to just bring them both to you. And I'm like, no, I'm not licensed. I said, you need to get licensed. And so, yeah, so your clients will tell you what they need for sure, just like you said. So how do you balance like your passion for early childhood education while running all the practicalities of running a business? Because it's hard to do all of it.
So I think it just involves, I'm a goal setter. So just setting clear business goals while just staying true to your philosophy of who you are as a person. Making sure that your business decisions, that they align with your mission of providing the quality care.
So how much time do you spend at the center versus the family childcare? Do you just go between the two?
So my family childcare home went from like morning hours, daytime hours to providing that evening overnight care.
Okay.
And then the center is the standard 6:30 to 5:30 p.m.
Okay. So the family center is like wraparound care pretty much. Okay. Okay. Very smart. What advice would you give someone who's considering taking that leap to starting their own childcare center?
I would just say be prepared for challenges that may come up. Just be prepared, do your research, surround yourself with mentors, peers, go to conferences. I met you at a conference. Get in touch with industry experts. And then most importantly, I would say stay patient but persistent.
Yeah.
Building a successful childcare center takes time and dedication. So just staying on top of that.
Yeah. And I love, you said set goals for yourself. And then if you get stuck, like get somebody that's going to hold you accountable or somebody who can help you, right? Get somebody you can collaborate with. And they could be in your state. They don't have to be in your state. They could just be another childcare owner from another state. Just make sure, obviously, when you talk about regulation things, that that there are differences. But you can get a colleague. I mean, I meet so many people through this podcast. We talk all the time. I'm like, how did you handle this? Or one of the things that's kind of fairly new to my state is the universal pre-K. But I know some of the states have had it for quite a while, and they take 3s and 4-year-olds. Here it's just 4-year-olds right now and mostly part-time. And so, that has trickled into my state a little bit slower than other states. So it's always good to be able to talk with someone and said, what is this looking like in your state, 5 years in, so it gives you a chance to forecast how you'll do business, right? And you have to really do that, not just the budget and the marketing, all that, but you have to forecast, like, what is the industry going to look like in 3 years and prepare yourself for that, right? Well, yeah. Could you share a story of what you feel is your most major success or breakthrough moment in your career as a childcare entrepreneur?
I would say my success and breakthrough was actually transitioning from home to a center, and being looked at as locally recognized as an early childhood education program that is quality. I'm not quality rated by an agency, but my community looks at it as a quality center. And this is a testament to me being dedicated, staying the course, providing our programs, boosting our reputation in the community. And just by doing that, it has opened so many doors for our business and new partnerships, for the business and growth opportunity.
Yeah. What do you think about this? Now you have staff. So what do you think about that? How has that changed? How has that impacted you? What do you love about it? What don't you love about it?
So, I love the fact that I have staff, but it can be daunting. Dealing with so many different personalities and attitudes. I just have to really get a grasp on that. Like just dealing with the different personalities.
Yeah, that's always fun. How many staff do you have, Michelle?
So currently I have 8.
Okay. That's
from 2 in the home to 8.
Okay. All right. I have to tell you, that was my favorite number of staff. I have 42 now, but 8 was my favorite. Yeah, 8 was my favorite. because we were so like, 8 is such a good number. You can really just build some bonds that will last a lifetime. I will say of those my super 8s, I'll call them. Many of us have been together 15, 20 years. Yeah. So some ladies have now retired, but boy, the relationships you can make when your staff is on I don't want to say smaller, but on a manageable, that's the word I want to use, a manageable size. And you can be super selective when you have that number too. You don't just have to have a body, you can have really high quality invested folks. So how do you stay motivated? Because, it's hard. How do you stay motivated and inspired in your role?
So my motivation, it comes from seeing the development of the children, their growth, their success in our programs, especially the ones that are going on to kindergarten, onto those programs, seeing them succeed and being accepted into those gifted programs, those different programs of higher caliber. Also, it's just a testament to remind myself of how hard we've been working, the impact that we've made in the community, and then also just staying connected with other professionals in the industry, which they're always providing inspiration and guidance. And I'm a person of listening to wisdom and listening to fresh ideas. So that keeps me motivated. That keeps me going.
Oh, that's great, great, great advice. Are there any specific tools? I know you mentioned Brightwheel. Are there any other specific tools or resources or programs that you would recommend to aspiring childcare center owners?
I would definitely tell them to get involved with Placey, Macy, NAE, YC. They provide valuable guidance to small businesses and then offering that support.
I lost you. I can't hear you.
Oh no,
There we go.
My evening kids are getting ready to.
That's all right. We're almost done. So I love that you brought up NACY, and so I think people should be a member of NACY, and you should be an active member of NACY, and you need to advocate. You need to advocate right now more than ever for your childcare business. I would say I think the statistic is somewhere around 95%. It might be a little bit lower now. It might be 93% of childcare centers are owned by women. And of that number, 50% of them are of diverse backgrounds. So you need to have a voice, and you have a vehicle, and NACY is that vehicle. So get involved. Don't just get the card and the t-shirt, get involved. Go to the events, advocate when they ask you to, write those letters, and do all the things, because it really matters, and your voice matters. So make sure you do that. So Michelle, before we wrap up, one last parting tip for the audience.
So one last thing I would say is get involved with your local community, host family events, participate in local fairs, partner with nearby schools. I do that all the time, back to school, join their PTA, partner with local businesses. Community engagement, I think, has helped my business tremendously. It helps grow your enrollment. It builds trust. And it builds a sense of belonging, like you belong in this community. We deserve to have this quality provider here. And the families will appreciate that and value. So get involved with your community.
Yeah, that's great advice. And it's not even, it does all of those things, but even on top of that, it really can supercharge your staff. It's a really great way to motivate your team and have your team feel like they're part of something bigger than just getting a paycheck. So Michelle dropped so many great pieces of advice. I hope that you are inspired. If you are passionate about making a difference in the childcare field, please keep tuning into the Childcare Directors Chair podcast. Be sure to rate, review, and share with a colleague in the field. We thank you so much. And remember, it's the little details that make a big difference in the success of your childcare business. And as always, have a great day.
Well, all the cute little kiddos have been picked up, and it's time to go home. And that'll do it for another episode of the Childcare Director's Chair. Please leave a review so Erica knows the information is helping you to manage and improve your childcare centers. Remember to subscribe to get the latest episode from Erica's Childcare Director's Chair.